that I'm going to be presenting on today, guys, is we did a vote in SuccessFit to figure out what was going to be the most helpful. And this was like unanimously the one that everyone wanted to learn more about. So this one's called Ain't Nobody Got Time for That. What you actually need to know on social media to generate leads. And so this is obviously a big topic of conversation, whether you're an online marketer or whether you're, a retail fitness center. This is definitely something that comes up on the radar all the time. So we're really going to dig into the most common challenges that fitness coaches face. And this is like coming directly from you guys, what most people were letting me know were their biggest struggles. So that's what I based this whole presentation on. So for those of you guys that don't know me, I think I know most of you guys, but just in case, I've been around the block with Bria, I guess it's been almost 2 years now. And my main objective is to really help fitness coaches eliminate the overwhelm in their marketing efforts so they can have the business of their dreams. I am so complexity allergic. Like I hate when things are complicated. And I think that all of us, for those that find that they get overwhelmed easily, it's so hard to execute when you feel like something is very complicated. So that is really the intention of today, to try to help unpack lead generation online and really get some simple tips to learning how to generate more leads for your coaching business. So these are the most common challenges when generating leads on social. And if you guys are not fans yet of Schitt's Creek, I'm telling you, it's the best show ever. Like write that down. You're looking for something to watch. It's so good. And it's a Canadian show. You're probably not going to get any of these gifts that are included, but I put it out there for those that love Schitt's Creek just as much as I do. So the first challenge we're going to talk about is around who has time amidst all the chaos. So what I hear most often from coaches is, I don't have time to be implementing more strategies to generate leads when I'm already doing all the things. I'm already posting, I'm already messaging, I'm already engaging, I'm doing all those things. I really don't have time to generate leads on top of it. The next one is, we've done the best we can, meaning that maybe you've tried and even invested in some lead generation products before and it didn't work. Maybe you even felt that it decreased your engagement. So you've pretty much just tossed it off to the side and said, I'm just going to leave that over there and I'm not really going to dig into that. The next one is, what does that mean? And that is all about, I'm not sure where to start. And the courses I've taken make the process seem to take forever. And the courses were super confusing. And maybe you've left those courses on lead generation feeling like you didn't learn anything. The next one is, I'm just a little overwhelmed right now. And this one comes down to, I feel like I'm trying to put myself everywhere, but nothing is getting traction and I'm never seeing consistency. And the next one is, I'm obsessed with this. And what that means is, I need to get more eyes on my stuff, my posts, anything I'm putting out there, and really offer something that stands out from the rest. Because if you don't stand out when you're posting, you're gonna have a hard time attracting those leads and those ideal customers into your funnel. So probably the biggest misconception about this whole lead generation process is that we tend to clump it all into a linear process. Like, I just need to get a lead and then convert them. Like that's, I think, what, at least when I first got into this, that's what I sort of thought about. I didn't understand that there were different stages of lead generation, and that in order to best utilize our posts and everything that we're putting out there, we really need to understand the stages of lead generation. I'm just going to make a quick mention. Show of hands here. Does anyone advertise on Facebook or Instagram or want to? Can you guys just put up your hand if that's something? Okay, perfect. So I just want to preface this by saying that most people, when they think about advertising on Facebook ads, this is the biggest misstep, is that they don't understand that when you are targeting different people, you have to know what stage they are in your funnel. So I am going to break this down and hopefully make this super simple to understand before we start tackling how to actually generate leads. So this is, if you're familiar with the sales funnel, you may already be familiar with this, but the goal of a sales funnel is to attract people into the top of your funnel, and then you move them down these steps and through these processes. So awareness, someone has to be aware of you before they're going to buy from you. And obviously at the top of the funnel, it's the widest, meaning you're going to have the most people coming into that top layer. And you lose people as you go through these stages. Either they're not your ideal customer, they're not interested. All these things can happen where they fall off. That is very natural. That is a very typical part of a sales process. So at the top of the funnel, we want to make as many people that are ideal customers as possible aware of us. And then our job is to move them down into becoming interested in us, then considering the products we have to offer, then moving them to buy a product or a sale. Then we want to retain them, and then we want to get referrals from the people that we've retained. So this is a very key component of understanding lead generation and Facebook ads, because when you start to dabble in that sort of stuff, the top of your funnel, like people that you're going to speak to, it's going to be a different message than people that have already bought from you. So we just want to be aware of that as we go into learning more about the sales funnel. So these are the types of traffic that fit alongside that funnel I've just showed you. So we would refer to the people at the top of the funnel that are just becoming aware of us, cold traffic. They're strangers and they don't know you yet. And so when you're making people aware of you, you just have to keep in mind that they really don't know you yet. So it's your opportunity to help them get to know you. When you move into the next stage, it's called a warm lead. So these are basically acquaintances. They know who you are. Maybe they've seen a video of you before. They've liked your page. They already recognize your face. So you're going to speak to them a little bit differently than you would your cold traffic, right? Like think about it. How would you talk to a stranger versus how you would talk to an acquaintance, right? You think about if you were to have that conversation out loud to a stranger, you might say something like, hey, we don't know each other that well yet, but ... right? Like that might be how that conversation formulates. Whereas if it's a warm acquaintance, it would be like, something like, hey girl, hey, like, that sort of idea, right? That even the introduction itself is going to be that much different. So the same goes if we're applying this just for those that are like put up their hand for Facebook ads, exact same thing. When you are targeting different people in different stages of your funnel, you will speak to them differently when you put out your ads. And then lastly, you have hot leads. So these are previous customers. So typically with this group, anything that you're speaking to them about, they already like you, they already, trust you. When you put something out there, they typically jump on it because you already have that trust built up with them. So again, you're going to speak to them very differently. You might say, like, I don't know, you don't have to use, hey girl. That's just the first thing that's coming to my head. So please don't feel like you ever have to use that. But I might just be like, hey girl, I know you love Lift 4. This program is made for you because X, Y, and Z, right? So it's like you're utilizing that knowledge of you bought something before. So here is another product that you're going to love. So those are the different stages or types of traffic. So before we go any further, does anyone have any questions about those two funnels so far? Good to go. Cool. Okay. Awesome. All right. Next, I want to talk a little bit about the lead funnel and how you actually build up awareness, you move people to interest, consideration, all these sort of things. So when we talk about awareness, how do you actually get more people to pay attention to you? Well, we've got a few different mediums. Facebook is number one, just in terms of the number of users. There are a ton of people on Facebook. The average amount of time is about 35 minutes per day that people are on Facebook. So that is obviously a huge player in your awareness efforts. Instagram is going to be another one. Pinterest is just up and rising. It's a steady eddy. So I know a lot of coaches at this point maybe don't dabble in that. But as you build your business further and further, I think that this is at least what I'm doing in my business. There's an opportunity for me to repurpose content, stick a Pinterest image on there, and be able to just utilize that content. It's just another search engine, right? That's like another way to think about this. YouTube is another one. I utilize YouTube quite a bit. It's the second largest search engine after Google. So I feel like there's got to be weight in that. And I think it also depends on your medium. Are you someone that likes video? Are you someone that hates it, right? Do you prefer writing? Like, what do you prefer? I think you have to look at that first to see where you shine. Then it's a little bit easier to say, okay, I'm nailing Facebook and Instagram. I want to dabble somewhere else. So the other thing that you have at your disposal when it comes to awareness is that's where Facebook ads and Instagram ads all come into play. Those services help to put more people into your funnel so more people see your stuff. So I'm sure you guys already know these stats, but when it comes to social media and your posts, they're delivered 2 to 6% of the time. So you think about it, you may have a huge network, but Facebook is not always showing people your posts, which I've heard that complaint before. I've heard that people say like, oh, Facebook, and it used to be a lot different. Like it used to be a lot easier. You might hear people say that. But what Facebook ads and Instagram ads allows you to be able to do is show more people your stuff. So more people become aware of you and more people will decide if they like, trust you, etc. And then obviously the benefit of using ads as well is that you can define that market. There's some crazy things that you can do on Facebook where you can take a customer list and you can, let's say you have a product, let's say you have a customer list from 2B Mindset and you really feel like Ultimate Portion Fix is like a perfect, thing to add on because those customers really like that nutrition-based programming. You can take that exact customer list and just advertise to those people. So there's some amazing things that you can do with ads, but I really think like you got to nail the other stuff first when it comes to posting before you really dig into the Facebook, that sort of stuff. So that is your first level of awareness. Those are sort of there's obviously more routes to get people interested, but these are the most basic ones that I think are most applicable to Beachbody coaches. So once people are aware of you, you want to get them really interested in your value and what you have to offer. So this is where, a lot of us do Facebook groups. You would invite someone to join your group and now they're in your intimate community. So you're able to showcase your value. You're able to really build trust. And I would always ask for an email when someone joins one of your groups, because you can have, the little questions in there. So always ask for an email when someone joins your group. But the purpose of this next step is to invite anyone that has become aware of you to come into your intimate community. Another way that we can create that interest is through any videos that you may do, or if you happen to have a website, there's blog posts or anything that puts your value out there and really showcases to people why you're good at what you do and how you can help them. The one other thing you're going to see here is this little magnet. Now, what that is something called a lead magnet. This has also been called a freebie. So if you hear those terms, what that is it's a downloadable. It can be 10 recipes. It could be 7 workout hacks. It could be like an example that I had done was 7 done for you fruit punch posts. It's something that is super valuable that will give your audience a ton of quick wins. And in exchange for it, they give you their email address. So that layer of interest is really to showcase that you are very knowledgeable on your topic. It's to give people a taste of what you're about, because then once they have that, it'll push them into considering you and considering your product. So the next stage from there is to move them into consideration as there's different product launches and different things you're offering. That's why I love having people's emails, because then I can keep in touch. And so we talked about social media delivery rate is 2 to 6%. Email delivery rate on average is 28%. So that's a huge jump up from if you're just posting, not as many people are going to see it. But if you have their email, you can do all those things: build likability and trust, share your story, be authentic. And then whenever you have a product launch coming, you can make sure that your audience, like at least 28% of them on average, will be able to consider what product you have to offer. So if you hear a lot of internet marketers talk about email, that's why. There's just such a better delivery rate than social media posts. Now, social media posts obviously have their place, but it's an awareness to make people aware of you. So that is the lead funnel and how all those sources funnel in. And so when we look at the top of the funnel with awareness, these are sort of like the purpose of what you're doing in each of those stages. So that first stage, that awareness phase, is to really have an opinion. You want to build trust and be authentic. So this is where, if anyone's done the 21 Day You Challenge, which I know a couple of you guys have, the purpose of that is to really hone in on who you are and why you're different. Because, I think everyone can say, like, this has happened at some point in their business before. When you start to look to other people and you're sort of doing a bit of that copycatting that happens in the beginning when you're just learning, you kind of fade into that sea of sameness and you're not really able to differentiate yourself. So it's really important at the top of that funnel to have an opinion, to build trust, to be authentic, and to be different. I'm just going to give you guys an example because Sabrina and I worked a lot on this. So Sabrina's archetype is like this superhero Wonder Woman. And so a lot of the things that Sabrina and I talked about when we were going through the 21 Day Challenge together was to really hone in on that fact that you believe in superheroes and really call out your ideal audience by talking about those things that only those that love superheroes would understand. And then what you're doing is when someone that loves superheroes and loves that whole world sees your post, it's really going to stand out to them as so very different. Like a fitness coach that's into superheroes and believes that we can be our own everyday superhero. It's almost like that solution that ideal customer has always been looking for, but never knew it. And so that is the importance of really standing out, knowing who you are, being authentic. Another person that really stands out to me is Michelle Ayers on the call. You guys, when you know a Michelle post before you even read it all. You know what I mean? Because there's usually an F-bomb in there or something that's real life stuff that you're man, totally. And they're usually extremely funny, everyday stuff, hashtag mom life stuff, right? So it's really important that is sort of what you want to get to, where someone reads the first line of your post or sees an image, they know it's you. That's how you really start to build that brand and be authentic. So after you have created that awareness with your brand, when you bring them into your community, this is your Facebook community, this is really your chance to showcase your value and build likability and an intimate community. So for me, this is my business boot camp for fitness entrepreneurs. This is really my chance I love to do Facebook Lives in that group. I love to just talk about the everyday challenges that I know Beachbody coaches are facing. And it's not a spray and pray method. I'm not talking to my whole, all my family and everyone else. Like I can be very, very specific with who I'm talking to. So this is an opportunity for you to really build trust in your community and to really give people like a taste of what you're about and really be authentic in what you're going to provide to people. The next step is, this usually happens through email. This is talking about their challenges and then being able to provide those solutions. So it's kind of like, now that they have that bit of a sample of who you are, what you provide in your community, now you're going to be able to talk about what things they're struggling with and provide solutions. And we're going to talk about a tip when we get to the next section here. But talking to your audience and understanding their words is like one of the most simple but easiest tips to really make sure you're nailing your copywriting every single time. That's so important. Every time I think I know what my audience wants, I go and ask them, and the wording, it could be the same thing, but the wording is different, and the wording is everything. So that is really important in your, when you're emailing and talking about challenges, making sure you're using their terminology, but then also you provide solutions, and the solutions just happen to be this wonderful Beachbody product over here, right? So you're consistently having this sort of dance of, hey mama, I know you're struggling with this. I was too. This is what I found. This was like the magic ingredient. Here's the solution. So obviously not every email is going to be like that, because that's, that'd be pretty salesy. But, I would say like 1 out of 4, or every time you have a launch, there's going to be emails that are talking about those challenges. And not every solution may be a Beachbody product, right? You might just talk about everyday things that have really made improvements in your life, but you just want to connect with your audience. And then the last step is always to invite them to take action. Now, obviously that can be done, you can post that on social, you can talk about that in your stories, you can talk about that in your community, you can talk about that in your email campaigns as well. But it's just an important step that usually comes after we talk about challenges and we provide a solution. Okay, so I want to talk about this definition for a second. I'm not sure if you guys have ever heard about this method. It's called the spray and pray method. So this is what happens when you speak to everyone the exact same. So you don't think about, oh, are they a cold, warm, or hot lead? Who are my posts reaching? And how am I speaking to them? And what ends up happening is your message gets lost. So if we think about this for a second, if we're posting on social media, we're talking to our clients, people that already work out with us, like in our posts, and we're talking to people that haven't even heard of us yet, you can see how your messaging will get diluted. So it's just really important to really think about who is it that you're trying to attract in your messaging, and where do they fall in that funnel? Are they a hot? Are they a warm? Are they a cold lead? Okay, so now that we understand the lead funnel, what I want to do is get into the actual action steps to start building your own lead funnel and generating more leads online. Okay, so step number 1 here is to create a consistent profile on your networks. This is really, really important. And what we're talking about here is everything from your profile picture to your description and bio, and really making sure it like hones in on exactly what you do. I remember there being, I'm trying to remember exactly where it came from. I have like a little mini module I did on this actually, but it was sort of like a fill in the blank. Oh, I think I'll shoot it in the comments after the call. I'm trying to remember. It was like OMG is the girl's company, but she sort of has this like fill in the blank bio where it's kind of like an ad lib where you like can fill in the word, like I help create, like it had all these different words to choose from. And it really made it simple to figure out how you help people and what you actually do. Because I think sometimes, at least for myself, I didn't really know how to put this together. And whenever someone would ask me what I did, it was really confusing, like for them and for me, because I had no idea how to like put it into the right words. So getting really clear on this bio is really important. So I'll make sure to link you guys some resources after the call to help with this so that you guys can feel really clear on what you do. So this is just an example of some of the stuff that I've done to help create some consistency. I always use the same image in all of my profile pictures. I would definitely recommend like at least once a year, you guys have some photos done. It makes posting on social so much easier. If you could do any amount, I would do one a season, just because we have so many seasons here. So it's nice if you have like a summary picture or spring or whatever it is. But it's really helpful in creating that consistent image. Look at the fonts too. Like you want to keep those consistent. That's really important as well. And the same with the color schemes. Like in the 21 Day You Challenge, we talk about like, look around your room. What colors do you typically use? That's probably a pretty good indication of what colors your branding should be. Because you're like, if you bought a pillow in that color, I can only assume you like that color. Is it stripes? Like, is it flower pat? Like, what is it? And utilize that to help create that consistency with your branding. So make sure that you create a bio and a profile image that is consistent and can be used across all channels. And so this will help people too. Like my name could not be more generic, Ashley Shaw. There's a lot of them out there. There's a cricket player. There's a ballet dancer. I've looked it up and I'm like, how would people even know? But it's all about that image that is right there that connects my profiles so people know it's me. So that's an important thing to think about and to create with all your channels that you're using. All right, next step here is to be clear on who you're talking to. So when it comes to who your ideal client is, like I just can't tell you guys what a difference maker it was for me to actually speak to my ideal clients. So obviously I work a lot with coaches, but when I first got started, I would have calls with Bria probably once every 2 weeks or once every 3 weeks and just try to learn more about what were some of the challenges that she was facing, how I could help. And like, I remember trying to write down word for word what she was saying because I just would have phrased it so differently. And so that piece is so important to get to know your people, and talking to them often will really help put into words exactly what they're thinking. Your posts will start to jump off the page at them when you really understand how they talk. So the step here is talk to your ideal customers as often as you can. That's the other benefit of having a community, because you can poll them and listen to the verbiage they use. It really makes it so easy when you sit down to write anything, when you have those words in front of you. All right, step number 3 is to save time by learning these 2 tricks. So the first one is a scheduling program. So when it comes to posting on social, like, believe me, I know it's a time suck. And I don't know if I've admitted this to people before, but because I write so many posts, like I have my done for you stuff, I end up not posting as much on my social media because I'm writing so many posts, right? So I totally get it when you're like, okay, like racking your brain to write posts. This has been a lifesaver for me. Buffer is a scheduling program, and what you can do, this is how awesome it is. So you have your post. One recommendation, I just got to put it out here because I've lost too many things I've written. Don't write the post in here, copy and paste it in here, because sometimes this little box can disappear. There goes all your writing. So just make sure you write it somewhere else and then pop it in here. But let's say I want to share this on all my networks. I just go bing, 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 click along, and then I can add it to my queue. So you think about how much time that saves you. I don't know if you guys, does anyone use a scheduler here like Hootsuite or anything like that? Not yet? Okay. This is something to consider. I know Buffer has a free option as well. So you can just start off with it, see if it's something that you like. But
Ashley?
Yeah.
I used Hootsuite for my first kind of year and a half as a coach. And one thing I learned about third-party stuff like that is apparently, and this was definitely the case with Hootsuite, is your stuff is not seen as much. And I'm a Facebook user, so I can only comment on, traction I got on Facebook, but I just started not using a scheduler.
Yeah, I think I've heard different things about that as well. I think you could schedule it right into Facebook, because then obviously it's like all in one platform. Or like, I guess it just depends if you're really seeing a decline. Like, I haven't noticed a difference. I find that this just helps me be way more consistent. So
Yeah.
if it's something like that you notice it, then definitely I would just flip it to just Facebook and then use this for everything else. You could do it that way
Good
too.
tip. That's a good tip.
I have heard that though, that some people are worried about the algorithm. So you could just schedule it in Facebook if you want. But yeah, I would just, for anyone that's like thinking about trying it out, you could test it out and see. Another thing you can do with Buffer is it'll analyze the best times to post based on when you get the most engagement. So yeah, I would suggest, you could try it out and see. But the other thing is, like, I would never have in my life posted to like LinkedIn, and like sometimes I'll have things to post to Pinterest and Twitter, and I never would have gone the extra step to like post it there. But now that it's all in one place, like, I find I'm much more consistent in just making that happen. So that's just an option for those that are really looking to save time. The other thing that you'll want to do is learn to repurpose content so that you're not having to write like a million different things all the time, because I really think, like, as someone that does a lot of writing, you only have so much creative juice like to go around. So it's really important that you learn how to repurpose things. So I'm going to like actually just walk you guys through my actual process before I get to this stage of figuring out what I'm going to post. This is literally so old school, you might not even believe it. So what I do, and some of you guys may have seen this video, I get a calendar, like one of those big old school calendars, and I'll pull it up for let's say the month of June, and I will Google fun calendar. When you do that, you're going to see things on that like, cook a pancake day and eat a green vegetable day, and all these like weird and wacky holidays that you didn't even know exist, and other ones that you won't even remember, like, oh shoot, it's Earth Day today. Those sort of things that if you don't know about it ahead of time, it's hard to like think about that and schedule appropriately. So that's what I do. I have a big calendar that I will write out all those things, so I know that day what I'm going to post about. And then what I do is I have a series of things that I like to talk about. I have another couple slides here where I'm going to talk about this, but like on my Facebook and Instagram, I like to talk about, this could be an example for a coach. Like, you might have one post that's about me. Well, you could repurpose that on a different day on a different platform. So when I write something once, that's why I like Buffer. I write something once, I can copy and paste it and move it to a different day as well, which is super helpful. Then I'm not having to write, like 7 posts 7 days a week. Like, I can kind of, for like multiple channels, I can utilize those for the same different channels, sorry. So there could be an about me post. Another really popular one is like dogs, kids, husband, a personal post, client behind the scenes, testimonials, things I love, who are you, A, B, or C, recipes. So I find when I have these categories, and again, I'll have a look at this, and then my old school calendar, I write them out. So at least the benefit is I don't have to think that day, what am I going to write about? Because we all know that those posts, well, they can either be like super great and be like, whoa, I didn't even realize that post was going to be so good, and it was just like off the cuff. Or it can just be consistently, you're just posting to post and you're not getting that traction that you really need to build that awareness. So that's why I like to use this sort of strategy here. So I'm going to get into this a little bit more around, you'll see here, I'm just going to move this over. Okay. You'll see here, this is actually, like, I like to plan out sort of, when I have a product launching, like 90 days in advance. Now that's how the Beachbody calendar runs, right? Is like every 90 days, we have like a new product or program launching. So every week leading up to that sort of has a theme for me as well. I like to try to answer all the questions to show my audience that I'm an expert. So I just like to keep those themes in mind as I build up, knowing that, for example, for Ultimate Portion Fix, one thing that I'm going to want to like squash out for people is that you don't need to know everything if you want to get started. Like, let's just focus on food first, and then we can start adding on after that. So those are just some of the things I would think about leading up to a launch. Okay. So that is basically your step on learning how to repurpose and really having that calendar to help you put together those themes that you're going to be talking about. Okay. So the action step here is to use a monthly template and a scheduling app. So it's easy to repurpose content. With Buffer, you can drag and drop too, which I really like. If I want to copy a post over, it's super easy to do. And as we mentioned earlier there with Michelle's comment, like check it out, see if Facebook, like you notice any sort of difference in your engagement. I think some people do notice, other people don't. So I would just test it out and see, like for me, what's most important is trying to become more consistent. That's why I use those sort of tools to try to help out with that. All right. So the next step here is, let me just move this out of the way again. Here we go. Don't try to fix everything at once. I think as we go through this information, this is always a risk that is taken when you learn about something in a different depth level than maybe you know before. We have that inclination to want to dive into things, and by doing so, if you're like me, you immediately get overwhelmed and then do nothing. So it's really important that you don't try to fix everything at once, but instead, I want to walk you through what to fix in which order when it comes to lead generation and building this funnel. So step one is really Facebook and Instagram posting. Get your Facebook and Instagram up and running and just post consistently. Like that is the first step in generating more leads, is to make this awareness component run consistently. There's some booster options you guys will see here. That's just done for you stuff that I offer as help to get this just done so it's off your plate if that's something you need. So that's step one. Step two is to then really start focusing in on your Facebook and Instagram stories, and that they're done consistently using what's called the Redick formula. Have you guys heard of that Redick formula before? Some people have, some people haven't. Okay. So I'm going to give you like the layman's version of this, and then I'll actually explain what Redick means. If you're not someone, who here posts consistently on stories right now? Can you put up your hand? Okay, some people. Who does not? Anyone? No? Okay. Does anyone, for the people that don't, is it because you find it overwhelming? Or is it just you don't know what to say? Kinda? I'm just going to be honest. I'll tell you guys why I'm not sure if anyone else struggles with this, but sometimes I hear from people, and I feel it myself. I see how many stories other people are doing, and I'm legitimately like, I can't keep up, throw in the towel. I can't do that many stories. There's not that many interesting things going on, right? I don't know if anyone else feels like that. So I have a website. She's sort of like a web strategist that I speak to consistently. And she said to me, like, don't worry about doing so many. Focus on just doing one a day. Like, that's good enough. Like, just show up, but don't worry about getting so many and trying to keep up. Like, one a day. So if you're at the point that you don't do it consistently, just aim for that, one a day. Now, if you're someone that's looking that you already do them consistently, what this Redick formula is, it's by Charlene Johnson. I can send you guys the resource. She's got an amazing video where she talks about this is what you should do on Instagram stories. So she talks about doing something relatable, where you can, relate to your audience. Then she talks about, let me think, I'm going to have to come back to E. D is dialogue. So you can ask a question. I is interact, where you would put up a poll. C is to capture, where you're asking people to DM you, because that helps with the Instagram algorithms. Sorry, E is educate. So that's a really simple formula that when you're thinking about what to do for a story, you can utilize that. The other thing is too, like if you really want to get technical here, has anyone used Canva Insta Stories there? There's templates there. Yeah, super helpful. Like you can just plot pictures in if you want to get fancy. Like I say fancy, but it just looks fancy, but it's super easy to do. Just another resource for you guys. Okay, once you nail those two things, then you may pass go into the next step, which is your Facebook community. So then you can start making sure you're adding consistency, value, your consistent mission. Like you're constantly talking about your mission, your value posts go in there, and you're building likability, trust, and knowledge. That's where, as I mentioned before, I would ask for an email address to get in. So once you've nailed the first two steps, then really hone in on that community, because that is like the golden gate to getting people to really join you, right? This is the free community I'm talking about here. All right, next step from there is your email series. So again, this might be, if this is too far out from where you are, like don't worry. I just want to lay out the steps for those that might already be nailing those first three things, but nail these first before you move on. So your email series, the real purpose of that is to send weekly emails. So you're driving trust, you're overcoming objections, and you're providing solution awareness. Like, what do you have to offer that is going to help your people solve their problems? This is where you can also set up what's called that lead magnet or that freebie to start collecting emails to put people in that email series. And then last step, once you get real, like good with all these other ones, is you can start setting up Facebook ad campaigns. One, to attract more lookalike leads. So that would be like, you know, when we talked about the funnel, Facebook ads will help make more people aware of you. And you can utilize your current customer lists to make audiences that look like them. Facebook is just genius, and they're always listening to conversations. So it's very interesting. And then the second thing you can do with Facebook ads is you can retarget those people that haven't taken action. So let's say you have a bunch of people watching you on Instagram and Facebook on your stories, but they're like not taking action. You can retarget any of those people that have touched those social media portals. So it's amazing what Facebook ad stuff can do, but the other stuff really should be in place first, because this is a mistake that commonly happens. People will try to invest in Facebook ads, but then they're not moving people down the funnel with email. They're just like spraying and praying and trying to get a bunch of people to like something. It's not moving them down the funnel at all. Cool. All right. Here we go. Okay. So the step to take action here is, I'm going to share that chart with you guys. The one I showed you earlier with all the different themes and days. I'll share that with you guys. So you can use that chart to determine where you are in the process. Oh, sorry. No, that was a different chart. Use the chart I just shared, to determine where you are in the process. If you're at Facebook posts, stories, community, hone in on that before moving ahead. But I will share that earlier chart with the template of all the different themes you guys can post about. All right. Last step here is be strategic in your posts. So these are the 7 types of posts that commonly can be used, where you will educate someone, you ask for engagement. It might be a behind the scenes post, an about me, what I love, something that is inspiring, and then a call to action. The 7th post, they say 7 to 9. I always go with 7. That always needs to be a call to action. Always, always need to have a call to action in your lineup there of posts. And hold on a sec here. Okay. There's a difference between launching a program post and day-to-day posts. So what I mean by that is if you have like Ultimate Portion Fix coming up and you're like trying to launch that, your posts have to be different than what you're posting on the day-to-day. You're working to overcome objections through those launching posts. If you hear from people all the time, it's too expensive, you need to have posts that are addressing that and how maybe you felt that way before. And then what you found is that when you actually prepped your meals, you weren't going out as often, you know, that sort of stuff. You're overcoming those objections as you're leading up to your launch. Every 7 posts is that call to action post. And some of the examples of call to action could be like tag someone is actually like literally like one of the best ones, because then your ideal customers are tagging other ideal customers. So that's a really great one to make sure that you then like connect with that person in some way. You can ask them to drop an emoji, cast your vote, ask a question. Asking people to DM you or PM you is really great too for the algorithm. I remember, I think it was probably maybe a Jenna Kutcher podcast where they talked about this Instagram story thing that you could do where you do 3 stories and you do sort of like a giveaway or something. The first one is you tell them why they should take like any action, like what's in it for them. Then you showcase like a little blip of a testimonial, and then you tell them what they need to do. So I'll give you guys an example of this. I tried this out. I listened to it. This was back in the fall. I was giving away 7 pumpkin spice posts, like for the flavor launch. I showcased a testimonial from someone in one of my Done For You groups. And then I said, DM me to get your free copy. I had 45 messages, like DM'd right away. It was like, I'm not like, you know, I'm not always on Instagram stories and like keeping that up to like consistently build an audience. But I was very impressed by how that little 3 series blip really worked. I like to test things out that way. And that was really, really cool and helpful. So just something to try out. So take action step. When planning out your posts, you can use these categories to help you hone in on the theme each day. So in case any of this, hopefully, I hope to underwhelm you with the information and make it much more simple to understand. But I'm always here to help. For you guys, probably most of you guys already know this, but I create Done For You marketing strategies. Everything from Done For You email series, Done For You lead magnets, posting plans, challenge group posts, all that sort of stuff. So if ever you are in need of even a break for a month to have someone else help you write any of your posts, you can definitely let me know. And all of those things can be a resource separately. You don't have to buy the full strategy where it includes everything. So that's an option there if anyone needs any help with their marketing. All right, guys. So I'm going to just read some of the stuff that people dropped here in the chat. All right. Oh, okay, cool. A huge difference in Predict. That's awesome. Love that. Does anyone have any questions or comments or feedback? We can unmute everyone if anyone does. How are you guys feeling after all that information? I felt like putting that together, it was a lot of information. Go back to the chat here. Oh, good. Good. Awesome. I'm glad it was helpful. Does anyone have any like follow-up questions or anything? Or you can shoot them to me too in private message. My main goal is to make sure like what we set out to do with really understanding lead generation and how to bring people like through the funnel. I just want to make sure that piece of it is super clear and everyone is leaving like feeling like, okay, I know what I need to do next. So hopefully that is the case, but definitely PM me, guys. That's all I got unless anyone has any questions. Is everyone good to go? Yeah, good. Okay, guys, thank you so much. We'll talk with you guys soon. Bye.